Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Demon. This is the award-winning Fan Show. Now, I know that this is one of our College Gridiron Showcase weekly mini-series specials, or however it is that you want to throw that together. We do these each week. It's for the College Gridiron Showcase, and it is a special program here, a special portion of the Fan Show here. And so even though there's that, and even though you will be hearing this Thursday, we're doing this Monday, I wouldn't be me without saying that the streak is over. It is a great Victory Monday, the greatest Victory Monday in 4 long years. The last time that what happened yesterday happened, I was at that game with my then girlfriend, Danja. We were celebrating our 1-year anniversary of dating. We've been married for 4 years now. And so this was the first in our marriage that the 49ers have defeated the Seahawks. Yes, that's right. Now, we weren't at this game, but we were supposed to be. We got invited by the VP of the team himself, and we just couldn't make it happen financially. Life happens. It's whatever. But, man, what an emotional day for me yesterday just to witness that. A day that I didn't think was going to happen this year, to be honest, especially when Jimmy G got hurt. But, yes, the drought is officially over. The streak ended. 49ers have defeated the Seahawks, and now we will reset the clock. We'll see what the future has in store. I believe it's a bright and beautiful future, but they're obviously only one of those teams has potential of making the playoffs, but they could have clinched a spot yesterday. Seattle could have. No, not in our house, not today. So that brings us to, then, of course, the CGS, College Gridiron Showcase Countdown. We are 22 days away, when you hear this anyway, and we've sort of covered everything from the different key players that are not players of this event. Jose Jefferson, of course, co-founder, creator, and then his co-founder, creator, Craig Redd. Then we've had Marcus Coleman, a new head coach of the Tucson Sugar Skulls. He's been on, he was most recently on this last week. KT Tape, big sponsor. Ed Terrace, the VP of Marketing, he was on. So we've had a lot of the key players that make this happen. And today, Jose is back. We've come full circle, and he's going to tell us about the actual players on the College Gridiron Showcase, the ones who have committed. They've been releasing quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, centers, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, you name it. They've been announcing each and every day. More and more have come out as we get closer and closer to the end of the calendar year, which, of course, marks the home stretch to the showcase, which will be the beginning of the calendar year, the first combine-like event for college seniors, and, of course, a free agent special event as well. So Jose is going to join me in here in just a little bit. But first, of course, all of these specials are brought to you by KT Tape. Ed Terrace was kind enough to tell us all about KT Tape and everything that we can expect from a great quality product like that. But don't take my word for it. Here's Carrie Walsh. You may know her. She's a big name in American sports. And her thoughts on the product that is KT Tape.
Know me as a volleyball player, but I'm a cross trainer as well. I run, I lift, I do yoga, and that means sore knees, that means sore back, that means sore everything. KT Tape helps me push past it.
Serious athletes use KT Tape to relieve pain in aching muscles and joints. Super easy to apply. Use it for many common injuries. So no matter how you work out, get KT Tape at a store near you.
With KT Tape, I know that I can perform at my best.
KT Tape. Train longer. Finish stronger.
That's right, KT Tape. There's so much science that goes into this product. It was truly mind-blowing to hear it firsthand from Ed Terrace about what all goes into this, because if you want to perform better, if you want to get back onto the track, the field, the gridiron, the court, faster and better, KT Tape is what you need to use. So go and visit kttape.com. If you're going to the showcase, or if you're not, then I encourage you to check it out, because they're going to have a little booth down there at the event. But if you're an athlete and you're like, it seems like I should be rehabbing faster, better. KT Tape is what you can use for that. So go and check them out, kttape.com. We'll have more from Ed Sarris and KT Tape down at the actual event. Fort Worth, Texas, January 5th through 9th. So with that, we're going to go ahead and bring on Jose Jefferson and find out what's the latest, what's cracking with CGS All-Star. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we've come full circle after we've talked to the agent and, of course, the sponsors, KT Tape, and we've had some coaches and some other key players here. We're back with the man himself, Jose Jefferson, who's got a lot of big news. Jose, how you doing? How's it coming along?
I am great. I mean, it's coming along. We're 19 days out, and wow, the pucker factor is coming up here. It's cranked up. It is cranked up.
I gotta say, the social media activity with posting the different committed player groups, QB, wide receiver, running back, centers, linemen, has been great. I think it's definitely perfect for the home stretch of the event. Now, are these players that you already knew were committed and now this was the time to announce, or has that window finally closed and now you can announce, who's there and who's not?
Well, we get roster rated quite a bit by the NFL PA game and the Shrine. I will say this in front of anybody who will listen, but I feel we work a little harder, we recruit a little better, and we stay true to our model. And our motto is fourth round guys and down. And granted, we don't really reach for anybody. And what I mean by that is, we're not going to put a guy in a spot, just put a guy in a spot. We're trying to get value picks. And an agent and a scout both have told me this, because the agent saw our roster on Facebook, because it's coming out on Facebook, at least some of the players, and then we send our list to NFL teams, and the scout told me that our talent right now, top to bottom, is probably as good or better than the Shrine or the PA. He said mine is probably the top 5 players, like their top 5 players are probably better than our top 5 players, but our rest of our 70 some odd players are better than the rest of their 70 some odd players, which is a credit to our scouting staff and what we put into what we do. We want to be a value pick event, and we try to get the best guys we can. And we've shocked ourselves this year. We really have, to where we've had these guys committed probably for over a month. And then now we're just slowly trickling it out, who we have since the Shrine and PA have released their invites.
Yeah, it's something about the 5th year of anything, and, I'm only going into what would be my 4th with the show, but Marcus Coleman, who was on last week, talked about how he's been with it for 4 years, so he only missed that initial year. But one of the things that he pointed out was, because I asked him, I said, what makes you believe in this event? And he just said that really, it cuts out a lot of the BS that you get with some of the all-star games and so forth. He's like, there's good things about those, yes, but what you and Craig have done with this event really emphasizes the player as far as a spotlight, or I guess you could say a showcase. And for him to say that, as a guy who is now in his first go as a head coach for the Tucson Sugar Skulls, which I asked him if he was going to do any recruiting, and he said, no, probably not. This is strictly, for Jose and the rest of the guys to make sure that these kids get their best chance to go to that next level. But I thought it was very kind words from him, as far as a man who, is not only your defensive backs coach, but has a team of his own, has been with you for a majority of this event's tenure. So clearly you've got a lot of people working with you and under you that believe in what you're doing, and that's probably the most important thing.
It is, and it's like they say, teamwork makes the dream work, and everybody that's involved with CGS in terms of staff, whether it be Craig all the way down to, and I shouldn't say all the way down, but even down to our volunteers, has input or saying what goes on, because I I like to delegate more than try to micromanage. I mean, I've had my days and years of micromanaging stuff, and it just doesn't work. And so it only works if people feel that they have some ownership in it. And so you put them down a path, and you tell them what you want, and then you let them get creative with it. And that's what we try to do, and that's why so many people clamor to come back and are looking forward to it. A lot of people wrap their vacations in terms of their job around CGS. A lot of the coaches wrap their coaching around CGS. Obviously, Marcus is with the Tucson team right now, and he's excited because now he understands what I was telling him when I was coaching at Colorado, or even now when I'm helping with Sioux Falls. There's a bevy of players that are there. I mean, he's going to look at over 300 players in the next over the 5-day course of the thing. And he's got a team. He's got a job for a few of those guys. And so that's exciting. So he's going in there with a totally different mentality than what he did when he first started, as opposed to coming in and, you know what, I'm going to coach these DBs up. I'm a former NFLer. I can give them some tips, to where now not only can he do that, hey, if it don't work out, here's my card, call me up, I got a job for you. And we promise that to the kids, that regardless of what it is, if you make the NFL great, if you make a practice squad great, if you don't make that, guess what? You want to coach? Call me. You want a job? Call me. You want to play indoor football? Call me. We don't leave the kids hanging. And just as we do it with the kids, I don't leave my staff hanging. I got Marcus started in indoor football 2 years ago because he wanted to coach, and I got him out in Tri-Cities before they folded, and then helped him with Iowa. And I would have taken him with me with Colorado, but I got hired late, and now he's a head coach, and he never would have thought about doing that. But it's all about the connections and the networking that you do when you're at CGS.
Yeah, you're only as good as your support group, and if you have the right support group in place, there's nothing that you can't do, and that's the feeling that I've gotten from everybody that I've talked to, that you've had me speak with, from Ed Terrace, KT Tape, and of course Neil Stratton, who's done that agent-player relations, and the most glamour-less job out there. But it's a good sport.
I think Neil, he's so much in the know. Like he's, I'm dating myself, but he's like the Rona Barrett of indoor football, man. If there's any gossip or anything or something going on, he knows about it, and people trust him, and that's half the battle. And I'm thankful to have him on our board, because he's done exactly what we're doing right now with the Hula Bowl, a few years back, and to have that brain trust and to be able to bounce stuff off of him and say, what do you think of this? And especially with as much as CGS has evolved, we are constantly changing. We have never ran the same event for 2 years in a row, because it's always changed, which is not a bad thing because we've grown. And so to have him and have the pulse of the agents, have the pulse of the NFL, and to be able to put on an event the way we do, it's amazing to have him on our staff.
Yeah, and I imagine that for you, we've got the home stretch for Christmas coming up here, but for you it's got to be almost Christmas times 2, because as we mentioned earlier, you've got the commitments of the accepted invites from the various player groups. Today, a few hours ago, it went out that the names for the wide receivers. So we've had the centers, the running backs, and the quarterbacks. So you got a Cyclone quarterback in there. You've got a tight end from USC, and then you were mentioning to me earlier that there's a guy from Washington on there. So this has got to be, I guess a Hanukkah, where you've got like eight days of gifts of player invites.
Oh yeah, it's always neat to see where players come from, and and I like to research them and look at their stories and things of that nature. So that's the chi or the id for me, because writing checks and making sure the schedule's set, making sure we got food, that's logistical stuff, but the scouting part of it is truly where I just sit and I could map out an afternoon and just look at players and not be bored whatsoever. It's tough to stop. I'll tell you that. At least for me, it is.
Fair enough. Now, with you and these rounds of accepted invites, I mean, is there any player or players that, they confirmed, they committed, whichever term, and you just sort of were taken back and be like, wow, that's a good get for us?
There's a lot of kids like that. I feel Kyle Kemp is a kid like that for us from Iowa State. I feel Tyler Wiegers is from Eastern Michigan. The quarterback is a wow factor for me. And I know people say, well, Eastern Michigan, well, you look at the pedigree of this kid. He was an Iowa backup for, his whole career. There was a grad transfer. And what does he do? He goes and beats Purdue at Purdue. Which is a great feat in itself. And I think he's going to be a solid pro because of that system he comes from with Iowa State. I really, really feel our quarterback class is pretty solid. Looking at a few other kids, we picked up a kid named Donald Parham, and he's from Stetson University, 6'8", 245-pound tight end. And if you watch him on tape, he's a specimen. And Stetson is a small school, but I definitely think he's a wow factor because you just don't see an athletic tight end that big. Our line has always been our strength. We've always have had guys on both sides of the ball that have represented us well and that have represented themselves well. And looking at top to bottom, I mean, when I look at the schools, Rutgers, Florida State, Vanderbilt, Virginia, Mississippi State, Syracuse, Northwestern, all solid programs. And, like I said, I can rave about each one of these kids. The latest edition we have was a shocker, and I put a shockers because in my 5 years of doing this, we have never had a Florida State kid, and now I think we have 3. Wow. And yes, and it is. That's how you say wow. I mean, that's wow for me to where we've had a few Miami kids, and then our first year we had a Florida kid, and but since then we have never had a Florida State kid, and this year we had 3, and one of them that we did get is a top 10 tackle by the name of Derek Kelly, 6'5", 320. And I'm shocked we got him. However, they had a down year. Doesn't mean they have bad players. Our receiving core, as you saw on Facebook, it's a mix. We have FBS kids, FCS kids. We got some Division II kids, and some of the numbers on these kids. I mean, we have let me look here. Chad Hovesi. He is a Division II receiver out of Adams State with 110 receptions on 1,400 yards and 19 touchdowns. That's insane. Yeah. There's not too many guys even in the country with stats like that. And if you watch him on tape, I mean, it's legitimate. He's a good route runner. He's big, he's strong, he's fairly quick, nice hands, and he puts in work. And then you turn around that with a more quick lightning kid like Sean Brown from Arizona. And granted, they didn't have the season they wanted to, but I watched that Arizona State game, and at the end when they needed a play, they went to him 3 consecutive downs. Not Sean Poindexter, who's in the NFLPA game. They went to Sean Brown, which says a lot for what they think about him in terms of play. He did all their kick returns, their punt returns. I mean, he's a special kid. We have Justin Sumter from Kennesaw State that was in the FCS playoffs, and he's a beast. 6'3", 220 pounds. And Kennesaw is, 3 downs and a cloud of dust type of team. But when you average 21 point some odd yards a catch, that means you're making the most out of your opportunities. So it's a very vaunted offensive group. And then as usual, our defense is always going to be good because defense always gels better than offense, at least quicker, I should say. But, in your neck of the woods, Shane Bowman, from Washington, who I've watched, and he got a little bit dinged up this year, but he came back with a fury. Yep. And I think he's a great D-tackle, 3-tech guy. I think he could possibly be a 5-tech guy as well, too, just athletic. We have a kid by the name of Austin Malalota. He's from Austin P. And I know everybody's sitting there when I said this, they say Austin P. He's 6'3", 285 pounds. He was a 3-year starter at Oregon and then was a grad transfer to Austin P. And his tape is pretty good. And those are the kids that we value. I mean, because if you say Austin P, obviously I'm not saying they're not a powerhouse or not a good program, but they got a player in Austin Malalota who plays all the way across the ball. He plays 1, 3, and 5 tech. And that's pretty tough to find. So I just, like I said, all these kids are I can brag about all of them because number one, I've had a hand in recruiting all of them. I've watched tape on just about all of them. And the reason why I say just about is because if I haven't seen them on TV, I don't need to watch tape on them. But I usually do, I try to get a Nebraska kid, University of Nebraska kid, a University of South Dakota kid, and a kid from Omaha. So I got one of the 3 so far, but I don't know if I'll get a South Dakota kid or an Omaha kid. So that's where I'm falling short. If I could say if it was a fail, that would be the fail right now.
Good problems, though, right? Good problems.
Exactly. We have champagne problems right now at CGS, so that's good.
Well, one thing that I wanted to mention to you, and I figured you would have an opinion on this if you'd heard the story. If not, then it's no harm, no foul. But you mentioned some of the guys that are going to be at this are going to be scouts from the various levels, including the AAF. And the AAF just had their quarterback draft, and the number 1 overall pick who went to the San Diego Fleet was Josh Johnson, who then has signed with the Redskins and got his first career NFL win this last weekend. And he has been, in every sense of the word, a journeyman, and not like the Brandon Marshall journeyman who's got like 16 to 32 NFL jerseys. I mean, this kid has been all over the place. And what you guys at CGS do, from everything that I've heard, is really you're about second chances. You've got your free agent event, and then, of course, when it comes to the college players, they haven't gotten to the NFL or CFL yet, but they're there because they want to make sure that they've exhausted every option and that they've gotten another chance to, really showcase their stuff. So to hear that Josh Johnson has been around so many times, and now the AAF, what they set out to do seems to be working. Does it give you the feel-goods knowing that you are essentially like that with the CGS, that you're about making sure that everyone gets, every look that they can and every chance to show that they are just as much of a professional athlete as the guy next to them?
I mean, it does. I mean, and if you look on those AAF rosters, top to bottom, you'll find about a good 10 or 15 guys from CGS on those rosters, all of them, all the teams. And they're finally getting it that football is turning into an analytical sport. And that's probably about the one thing that I'm really kind of in the middle of the road with. And what I mean by that is, and I'll circle back to the contributions, is they're trying to turn football into baseball, everything being statistical, how you evaluate a player. I mean, look right now, quarterback is the only position that gets judged on wins, just like a pitcher. You got some of the great baseball players in the world and great receivers, and they don't count their wins. But if you're a quarterback or a pitcher, the wins count. That's what puts you in the Hall of Fame, or it doesn't put you in the Hall of Fame. But the difference between baseball and football, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, is the minor league. You have a chance to develop these kids with analytics. You can look into the future. Looking at Kyler Murray right now in Oklahoma, is he going to go to the Oakland A's and start next year? No, because the guy's been playing football for the last, 4 or 5 months, and he probably couldn't, hit a curveball with a fungo bat, right now. So he's got to go through and prove that worth. And in the NFL, you don't have that time to prove your worth. You're there. And so between what we do, what the AAF does, what I imagine the XFL is planning on doing, you got the Freedom Football League that's starting, is that they're developing minor leagues, like Josh Johnson going to the Redskins. I had a buddy of mine talk about him. What are they doing? What are they doing? I'm like, why is it such a travesty for him to be in there when they've been recycling Nathan Peterman way longer than what they probably should have, and now you got a kid that went there and actually won a game, off the bench. And, it's like Nick Foles the same way. It's everybody's on their own time zone. The case in point, the presidency. Obama was president at 55 years old. Trump was president at 70. Does that make him less of an achiever or more of an achiever? It's just the timetable is off. And Josh Johnson, this was his time to go and play and start. I mean, any other time he wouldn't even make it through a camp, and now he's starting for the Redskins. Isn't that crazy? Nick Foles, same way. He led the NFL, and I think it was touchdown passes when Chip Kelly was there, and then he was damn near running out of the NFL and was ready to quit, and then he's Super Bowl MVP. It is all on timing, and that's why we try to tell the kids at CGS as well too. That's why our motto is it's not where you play, it's how you play. And right now, Josh Johnson, it didn't matter where he was playing. He was the first pick of the AAF. It's how he's playing. And right now, he won a game for the Redskins, and now they're in contention for the NFC East. And he's going to be driving the boat. It's a funny world, but they need these minor leagues. They need, if they're going to do analytics, they have to analyze as much and as many players as they can to get the true sense of it, which is where baseball's light years ahead. AAA, AA, single A, independent ball. They don't, we're NFL and football is just starting with that. The minor league for football is NCAA football.
Yeah.
So until they can actually invest in the futures of these young kids and say, you know what, when you look at guys like Josh Hackenberg or Hackenberry, whatever his name is, a Penn State kid, or Christian Hackenberry, that's what his name is, and say, you know what, you're good, but you're not ready. We're going to put you here and invest in your future, as opposed to now, let's face facts, this kid is damaged goods, between the getting cut from the Jets, getting cut from the Raiders. I mean, his psyche has not got to be good. Yeah. And you go from Penn State to where you're getting praised and you're getting coached by Bill O'Brien. I mean, Bill O'Brien coached him, and Bill O'Brien didn't even take a shot on him in the NFL. What does that tell you? So they need to preserve the psyche of these kids and be able to prepare them. Not everybody is a Saquon Barkley or an Ezekiel Elliott, to where those guys should have been playing pro ball at their second year of college. So I'm glad. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad that we do something that contributes to the betterment of the game. But it still has a long way to go. I hope, and I'm knocking on wood right now, that the AAF can survive. I think they're top heavy with income. I know Spurrier and Singletary and Mike Riley. I know those guys are minimum wage guys. Phil Savage in the front office, they are minimum wage guys. And I don't know how they're generating revenue to sustain that. That's just my question. I mean, and I think that's a valid question. How do you sustain revenue when – how many tickets have they sold to their games yet?
I have no idea. I know that they've been promoting a lot of packages for it.
Exactly. But, they're playing in stadiums that some of the teams that play in them right now don't even sell out. Yet they're paying their front office people six-figure salaries. I mean, eventually attrition's going to catch up to you to where that's not going to work. You know what I mean? So that's why, I mean, Vince McMahon can do it with the XFL because he makes billions of dollars with the wrestling to be able to throw into the football to be able to eat the loss. I mean, he did that the first time around. He ate the loss because wrestling was so good. I don't know where AAF is getting the money to sustain it. You know, they don't have a huge TV deal. You don't see a lot of people buying tickets. I don't even hear that much about it. And I saw that draft that you were saying on TV as well, and it was a little cheesy. And you got to do what you got to do, but that comes with a price. You know, I guarantee you that they just said, "Oh, we want to put you on the network." No, you have to buy that time. You know, so there's money as well too. So, like I said before, my hope is that they're able to sustain it and be able to keep young men with a place to play. And Josh Johnson, God love him, and good for him. You know, I hope there's more of those kids that come out to be able to do that.
Like, is that all that it takes for someone like you is just, however many kids show up to the CGS, that as long as one of them not only gets the chance, but they have their moment? Like, is that really sort of the feeling of accomplishment, or is it something a bit deeper with you?
I get asked all the time why I do CGS, and I do it because I gain emotions with it. Not that I'm not an emotional guy. I was more emotional of an athlete and a coach than I am as a person. I stay pretty level as a person, like in my regular life. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. I try to deal with the issues and, kind of keep my emotions pretty much in check. But as an athlete and as a coach, I'm highly emotional. I celebrate the highs with the guys, and I feel the lows with the guys, and I take that in, and I see it in CGS every year. It's amazing the things that you go through there. I was in a story I'll tell real quick. I was eating breakfast with and a few of the guys came and sat down, and we're talking, and I looked on a guy's forearm, and he had Jeremiah 29, or a verse from Jeremiah 29:11, and had the whole scripture, the first sentence on his arm, and I just started bawling right there and then. And he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? What's going on?" And I go, "That's the verse my son was named after."
Yeah, favorite one.
And right, and what's the coincidences of that? And I always believe there's no such thing as coincidences. Things happen for a reason, and I was supposed to see that, and I took a picture of it, still have it on my phone, and it's emotional. But I like to see every single kid that walks through that door is me, or would have been me, because I never had that chance. And so, yes, I take it personal. Yes, I get invested. And yes, I want to make sure they all succeed because I never had that chance. And I think a lot of the guys that are involved, are involved for very, very similar reasons. It's a way for them to say, you know what, I didn't have, but you will have. I'm going to try to be that person that I didn't have for you. And we all have that in our lives. If you're a father, not that you had a bad father or a good father, you want to be the father or that part that you didn't have that you may have needed. Not every person can be everything to you, but if you had a chance to be that person you didn't have, you would do it. And that's what CGS does for me, because I played 5 years, Marina League, bounced around a few NFL camps. I didn't have an agent. Nobody knew me. Nobody was giving me a chance. And, if I had a chance at CGS 25 years ago, would I have done it? Heck yeah. Every day of the week, twice on Sunday, I would be there. Even if I was an all-star guy or a guy that I'd have to pay to be there, heck yeah, I would do it, because it was never afforded to me. And so, yeah, it's an emotional investment and emotional tie. And, you know, I don't make millions off of this. That's how come I know the numbers between the AAF, the senior, the PA, and the Shrine. They don't make money. I know how it works. But I can guarantee you, none of those people involved are as emotionally invested as I am, because they're all backed by huge corporations and can write off all the money and the millions they want and not think less of it and not lose a wink of sleep, because you know what? X amount of money, I can make $1 million stakes here because that's what we do. Not me. I'm still a thousandaire, you know. I still have a day job, you know, and I have twin boys with special needs. And the reason why I do it is because I want to. And that's the huge difference, you know, when you talk about talent and stuff. And there's a little bit of emotional and sweat equity in what we do and what I do, more so than being able to sit and write a fat check because I'm the Senior Bowl and not worry about it, or the Shrine and be able to write it off through the hospital, which is a great thing. My son goes to the Shrine Hospital. I love it. But when you can write your game off through a hospital, you know, and then you got the PA who's using agent and player money because that's what they get their dues off of. There's no sweat equity in that. There's no emotional investment in that. It's a bank account that is bottomless and that you can put in the red anytime you want. I don't have that luxury. And I don't know how long I'll do CGS. I get asked that all the time. I'll do it until probably I feel I've done enough, number one, or it becomes more burden than enjoyment, you know. So, you know, and I know it's a long-winded answer and whatnot, but I don't, like people say that I love football. I don't love football. I refuse to love anything that doesn't love me back. But I have passion for football. I love people, and I love success stories. I love the fact that you know, it's not impossible until you do it, or the people think it's impossible until you do it. I love that, and I'm a fighter, and I just want 200 plus guys in my event with my same mentality. And if I can get that, that's a success, because I know none of those guys are going to go there and fart around and you know, trick off an opportunity when we got that we have. And I don't know what our value is to the NFL or anybody else. And quite honestly, I'm starting not to care. I don't care. You know, we do what we do for different reasons. And if they want to be involved with us, then great. And if they don't, we're still going to do it, because guess what? Somebody's going to show up and somebody's going to use those guys. And sure enough, now we've grown from 60 scouts in year one to over 150 in year 4. And it's going to get even bigger this year when I got the New York Giants, who usually sends 4 guys. They're going to send 8 this year. Yeah, we're on the right track. And eventually, maybe somebody will believe the vision that I have and that we have, and we'll be able to write those big checks and not worry about it.
That's the dream, isn't it?
It is. You know, I mean, it's part of the dream, you know. But, you know, I don't know what's in store for it. All I can tell you is that I just keep my head down and keep working. And eventually, if you work hard at stuff, good things happen. And we put too many guys in the NFL and have too many success stories for it to be considered a failure, you know, and eventually it'll pay off somewhere. And I guess to me, it's not like I'm looking for it to pay off like it's got to. I just know we're on the verge of something when you can sense it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, if you ever, you know, you've been in sports a long time, you've been on the where you got to create the story. You know, I mean, you have a very special job to where you've got to be able to articulate what's going on, and then you feel that sense, and you got to articulate that to people. I got chills. I got goosebumps just talking about it right now. And literally, I do. And when you can feel that you're that close, you know, it reminds me of what I tell kids and what I was told when I was playing sports. When you're talking about all I need is a chance, all I need is a chance. Well, you know what? Be so good that they can ignore you. And that's where we are right now. We are to the point to where they cannot ignore us anymore. And that's what I like, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so we are just over 2 weeks away, and a couple of more of these, and then there won't be any more countdowns, no more build-up. We'll be at the CGS in Fort Worth, Texas. And, Jose, I got to say, I'm very excited for this event, and all the people that I've talked to and had the pleasure of having a conversation with has been very enlightening, and looking forward to seeing all those people in action down there in Fort Worth, Texas. So I'll let you get back to it. I know that your time is valuable and sleep is precious, so we don't want to keep you away from either of those.
Who sleeps anymore?
Yeah.
I just pause very briefly for a couple hours and I keep going.
All right, well, hey, you have a good rest of your night, and then, of course, you know, we're in the home stretch for the holidays, so you and your family have a very Merry Christmas. I'm sure I'll talk to you a little bit before then, but as far as on an official capacity, you know, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and then we'll see you Fort Worth, Texas, in just a couple of weeks.
I appreciate it. Thank you for all your work. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and it's coming. CGS, baby, on and on, on and on.
All right, you take care, Jose.
You too. Thank you.
And once again, that was Jose Jefferson, co-creator, founder of the College Gridiron Showcase, January 5th through the 9th, I believe 22 days. He said 18, but that might be for him. His calendar is a bit early, a bit rushed, because he's got to be down there and get ready, set, go for all this. So we will go ahead and leave you guys with another great segment from Jose about what all you can expect from the College Gridiron Showcase. Don't forget to visit cgsallstar.com for all the latest news. You can follow him on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And then, of course, that event, there's a free agent event for all those free agents looking for a second shot, as well as the College Senior Showcase portion of the event. So don't forget, it's coming. And just a friendly reminder, the 49ers beat the Seahawks for the first time in 4 years. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. We should... No, actually, I take that back. There won't be one before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you and yours. And this is, once again, is a College Gridiron Showcase series special from the F.A.N. Show.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the F.A.N. Show.